What is this? Okay. This is what? Star Bumblebee. How can someone fit in this? How is that possible? This cockpit probably doesn't even fit a single person. Like, literally, a child could probably fit in this, and that's it. If a child was able to fly something like this. That is insane. And look at this small little thing. This is supposed to be a jet. What do I got here? Beat Aircraft Company BD-5J microjet. Pretty sure this is an experimental aircraft from the UK. So if we see that there. Honestly, these small planes, I don't even know how people can even fit in these. But some people actually do, which is insane. Even the gear goes up in this? There's no way. Check out this cool little plane in this museum. One of the first B-36s before they swapped to fully jet engines. So we see how they have the turboprops here. Pretty nice. And we got the Grumman F-111A with the Blue Angels livery on it. That is really nice looking. Very cool. On an angle, I thought this was an F-18, but this is the F-111. Never seen one of these before. It looks pretty cool. And here we got the nose of a Boeing 720B cockpit simulator. So this one was, I think, operated by Pan Am recently, Airline Training Institute. We can maybe look at the cockpit in here. Oh, wow. Yeah. Fortunately, we cannot go in this one this time. This wouldn't have been open, but unfortunately that isn't, but it's still pretty cool. But it is missing part of the snoot in the front, but I mean, it's pretty cool looking. And here we got the Grumman F-14A Tomcat. Way more bigger than I thought it would be, with the foldable wings and stuff to help aerodynamics. Beautiful, beautiful. We got little mannequins in there. Very interesting. I thought this would be around the same, way more smaller, but no. That is crazy. And here we got the Beechcraft model S18D. Nice little tail dragger plane. Very cool looking. Let me try to zoom out real quick. Wow, that is amazing looking. We also got a nice little glider and the what is this? Taylorcraft L2M Grasshopper as well. We also got the Learjet Model 23 here that we can take a look inside, so we'll see that right now. They're like static everywhere. Learjet Model 23. We can't go inside this one either, but we can kind of see the interior and what that would look like. Amazingly cool. Here are the small little engines that the Learjet Model 23 has. Provides enough thrust to get this little thing in the air. Pretty nice looking one. Here, I'll try to get a footage of the nose too. Long snoot. Looks like the ERJ 130 or 145 as the snoot. Looks pretty cool. And here we got the legendary Bonanza by Beechcraft. One of the pretty good training aircraft back in like in the 90s or something. Nice and very underrated airplane. Like, people underappreciate this plane a lot because this thing is not that common to find or see much anymore, except for like in museums. But yeah, it looks really nice. And we got, what is this? The Grumman J4F2. That is the weirdest plane. It looks like a boat in the front. That is insane. This is so cool. Some planes I've never even heard of before, like pretty much experimental stuff. This is the Navy's airplane? Why would they make it yellow? School Bus Airlines, hello. And we got one of the first ever seaplanes right here. This is so big compared to whatever this is right here. Look how big that landing gear bay is. so tall and big. It's so cool. And what is this? Okay, I need to read what this is because that is the ugliest thing ever. Columbia XJL1. The cockpit is there. What is this? That is such a weird looking thing. And this actually flew before? That is wild. And this, I don't even know what this plane is, but it looks like a Cub. So this will actually work. So if I pull back on the stick, the elevators will move right there. Not as hard. And on the side, we got the ailerons to move too. I look very weird in this airplane. We got the rudder. This is very odd for rudder pedals, but we got the rudder, the tail. And we also got the throttle stick right here, which you can't really see well. Here, I'll move in right here. Here's the throttle stick. We got the stick. Here's the knot speed and stuff. And we got an airport fire truck from back in the day in the late 19s. So we'll take a little tour in that. This thing is old as heck. Look at this. Seats are ripped. Everything. Little horn. Got the gear shifter. Oh my gosh, this doesn't even fit. The wheel is wide. I got that. Cool. It's really cool. Here's some more of the little trinkets you can do inside of the airport fire truck. Not sure what this does. I'm not the expert in fire trucks, but it looks very nice. Fun. This is such an old gear shifter, so I'm guessing this is like reverse, neutral, or drive. Stick shift. Fun. This thing says Oshkosh on there. That's where the air show is gonna happen soon. Fun little fire truck. Got little extra jump seats in the back for the rest of the crew in there. And yeah, here we got the Grumman F9F-8P Cougar with the whatever this long thing is, but I'm not even sure what that is. And here we have the fastest airplane in the entire world, the Lockheed SR-71A Blackbird. Look how beautiful that is. And those jet turbine intakes. That is amazing looking. I'm trying to get a better view. Check this beauty out. Fastest airplane in the world. Can reach about speeds at about Mach 10. One of these SR-71 Blackbirds have actually outran a Russian missile. And stuff like that, which is really cool. Here is some of the history on it, so feel free to pause and read this if you can. Same goes for here and there. Amazing looking plane. Here's some of, this is like a mini one. The Lockheed GTD-21B. Oh, now I know why. This like goes on top. I didn't know that. Like half of the entire airplane. That is amazingly cool. Wow. And now we're in the outdoor exhibit area, and we are starting off with an F-15A Eagle fighter jet. It's very nice. I like this thing a lot. Look at the landing gear bay here. The thing's gonna corrode. Being stuck out here is very nice. I see the super constellation over there. We're gonna have to check that one out. This will bring some nostalgia to people. We got Trans World Airlines, Super Constellation, also known as Connie. Here were some of their airport ground crew vehicles back at a time when TWA operated this sort of aircraft. Take a nice look at this airplane. Look how beautiful this thing is. Take a nice good look around of this aircraft right here. back in in the day of this plane. Way ahead of its time. It's got some presidential we'll look at. Yeah, the sun is just annihilating this thing. But look at the beauty. Very tall for a plane like this. Check that thing out. That is stunning. Here, let's take a look. Lockheed L049 Constellation. Let's look at the landing gear bay here. I was expecting a little more open space here. It's very nice. The aircraft. Nice little engines there. I also got 787. We'll look at that in just a sec. But that is just so beautiful. Here's one of the old Air Force One planes. We got the Lockheed VC-140B right over here. This is just a beautiful aircraft here. In the United States of America livery. Engines are covered up. Here's the gear. All that. And I think this is not a Super Constellation. I'm sorry about that. Here's another Air Force One plane. Let's go see what this one is, because I don't know what this is. I think this might be a Douglas plane. I think it's a... Yep, the Douglas VC-118A aircraft. Oh man. The 707. Yeah, I'm gonna spend time with this one. Look at that! DC-137B Boeing, aka the 707. Look at these little engines. Long but skinny kind of engines. That is amazing. Wow. That is so cool. And here over here, it's not the first, but one of the very few first prototype 787s that has been delivered to ANA Airways. One of the first Dreamliners. So let's take a nice look at the 787 here. This was fairly new addition to this air museum here, so we'll take a nice little look at that airplane right here. Also got a couple of B-36s that we will look into. Super Guppy, DC-9. We'll take a look at all those. Here we go. Look at that, 787 Dreamliner. Is this like the Dash 7? I'm not so sure. Take a look here. Starlands. F-16 at the local Air Force Base. 787-8 prototype 2000 from 2009. In 2009, so not so fairly new of an airplane here. Take a nice good look at those Rolls-Royce engines there. Before we move on to the next aircraft. Keep out of engine intake. I'm not going to go in there. Check that out. It's huge. Not as big as the 777 engines, but take a good look at that gear right there. Oh man, I'm... landing gear bay there. That is... that is cool. Yeah, 77 looks really nice when you're up close to it. Pretty underrated plane, to be honest. And here's a classic. We got the McDonnell Douglas DC-9. Take a good look at that one. I wonder what this DC-9 was used for. Skytrain transport from 1967 to 05. The Douglas C-9B. Take a nice good look at that little boy there. Nice, decent regional jet. back in the 1980s and stuff. Knew like American, Delta, other couple airlines had this airplane specifically. Got a nice look at those engines. Pretty sure this is also used by the US government and stuff like that, for government transport. Look how low those flaps are. Really nice. And we got a Super Guppy right over here. Gonna be touring most of the highlights that people will like to see. That is, it's really cool. Wow, take a good look at that. Fully white. Oh no, they're just covered, are they? Fully white engine props. They use for cargo transport. All those good stuff. That is amazing. Check this out. We got another 707 Boeing KC-135A straddle tanker. Oh, tanker. That is amazing. And we got a Gulfstream, NASA Gulfstream, which is nice. We got a C-130 there, Gulfstream G1159. Another photo of the Super Guppy, and we got another constellation there. I'm gonna take a tram tour and see what other fun things we can see. Pilatus PC-12, I think this one is right here. Nice PC-12. Very nice. Here's another view of the big fat Super Guppy by Airbus. Aerospace's B-1437G cargo transport. Really nice. I'm not sure what this one is. Just basically walking back to the building right now. The Lockheed VP-3A Orion Patrol Transport, following from the National Museum of Naval Aviation. There's the DC-9. Oh, that's a cargo door. Whatever this helicopter is. Here's another beautiful photo of that 787 right there. Look at that beauty.
Jet to see combat during World War II. And the 2C trainer model like you see here was introduced in 1948 after the war, with over 700 built for Great Britain and 7 other countries. Today, 2-meter trainers are still in service at the Martin Baker Company for ejection seat testing. And this aircraft was restored using the nose of a night fighter, aircraft often jet powered, but it began training at high-speed flight and aerial combat fundamentals.
That's a little King Air 350.
Concerned about an aluminum shortage, the U.S. government sought aircraft designs using non-strategic materials. And by the And now right here, guys, is a C-130 Hercules in white. 52 Strato Fortress named Valkyrie, painted in green and gray. It is a later version of the plane that was introduced in 1959 and served until 1994. Vehicles here with us today were actually built in other countries such as China and Poland.
And here we have a Boeing 747 Sophia operated by NASA. And even the engines are moving right now somehow, which is really nice. Little fatty 747 here. Take a nice good look at those engines right there. And right next to it we have the McDonnell Douglas DC-10 for the Flying Eye Hospital. Office Flying Eye Hospital DC-10. Secure patients in the air for who that need treatment for their eyes. And now we got the world's first Boeing 777. Right over here. Prototype. Well, at least I think it's a prototype. World's first Boeing 777. It's a good look in that. Just take a nice look at the 777 right here. It's really nice, big plane. Not sure what happened to its Cathay Pacific one. Take a look at that 747-8 in just a sec. This is the 200 variant. And we'll see this China Southern Boeing 737-600. We do not see the 600 models anymore. We'll see that. Check that boy out. And finally, we're gonna take a good look at the 747-8 G propulsion test platform plane. So take a look at that. Check him out. That is nice. I'm gonna take a look inside of this plane's fuselage. I'm not sure what this is, but we'll take a look in a sec. Take a nice little look in there. We got that. Here we got the cockpit here. Very nice. Apparently this is the Lockheed Model 18.